I am Oprah Gail Winfrey. Some of you met me on a couch, some through a book with a gold seal, some in a classroom I built on another continent. But before the stage and the studio lights, there was a girl in Kosciuszko, Mississippi, learning that a voice can be a bridge. I was born to a teenage mother, raised first by my grandmother on a red clay road where chores came before dreams and church came before sleep. We had little, but we had expectation that I would read, recite, show up. I learned the alphabet on a porch where the air hummed and the screen door kept count of comings and goings. When I spoke scriptures by heart, the ladies in the front pew nodded like judges. That child has something. The something was hunger, for words, for rooms where truth is welcome, for a life that didn't apologize for wanting more. There were detours and darkness, stories I told the world later so that somebody listening could feel less alone. What you survive does not disappear, it transforms. The wound becomes a window. I learned the difference between secrecy and privacy, between shame and protection. I promised myself, if I ever had a platform, it would be a place where pain could speak and not be punished. In Nashville, a radio station gave me a chance I had no business getting on paper, news at 19. My voice sounded older than I felt. The copy said distance, my instincts said care. I learned fast that information without empathy is a weather report for the soul, accurate, unhelpful. I wanted to tell people not just what happened, but what it meant. Television followed. Baltimore gave me a co-anchor chair and then a lesson in fit. I could read the prompter could not read me. I laughed too easily, cried when the story demanded dignity from us both. Some called it unprofessional. I called it human. The format was news, my gift was connection. So I moved to Chicago for a morning show that needed a pulse. AM Chicago. We started small, local stories told with national honesty. I looked at the lens like it was a person who had been waiting to be believed. The city answered. We outran the competition, not by being louder, but by being sure, by treating every guest like a lesson, not a spectacle, every audience like a classroom, not a crowd. People asked what the secret was. There is no secret. There is presence. There is listening so hard you hear the thing behind the thing. There is a promise. If you sit with me, I will not use you to decorate a segment. I will hold your story like it belongs to both of us, because for an hour, it does. The show grew. My hair changed. The set changed. One thing didn't. When the red light came on, I remembered the porch in Mississippi and the church ladies who demanded excellence. I wasn't chasing fame. I was building a room where millions could put their burdens down and pick up language for their lives. I learned early to own what I could, my choices, my mistakes, later my studio. If a platform isn't yours, it can be pulled out from under the very people who trust you to stand. Ownership is not greed, it's stewardship. The day I understood that, I started drawing a map from talk show host to Harpo, a place where stories could be made with the same care we asked from our guests. Before that map was complete, we had work to do. Moms and daughters not speaking, men learning to apologize, authors who wrote sentences that felt like handrails, audiences writing to say the hour they spent with us changed what the next 23 felt like. That is not entertainment, that is service. If you want to know me, begin here. A girl with a book, a mic on a desk that wobbled, a decision to use television as a tool for meaning. I did not want to make noise. I wanted to make room for vulnerability, for laughter that doesn't wound, for the kind of truth that makes you call somebody after the show and say, "I'm sorry," or "I believe you," or "Let's begin again." My name is Oprah. I believe that intention is a steering wheel, that gratitude is armor, and that the most radical sentence in any language is, "I see you." I am not finished. Chicago didn't give me a throne, it gave me a chair and an hour. I sat down like it was a church. AM Chicago to the Oprah Winfrey Show. We started with neighbors and news you could carry home. I treated the lens like a person who'd been waiting to be believed. Ratings rose not because we chased spectacle, but because we chased meaning, addiction, forgiveness, families trying again. The hour became a mirror, then a movement. AM Chicago outgrew its name. The world started calling it the Oprah Winfrey Show. I learned a talk show is a contract. You bring your story, I bring my presence. Together, we make something useful. I cried when the truth demanded tenderness, laughed when joy entered the room, pushed back when harm tried to dress up as honesty. Television can wound. We used it to heal. Editing the format. We tightened how we listened, widened who we invited. Experts, survivors, authors, everyday heroes. I banned cruelty, dressed as humor. I told producers, no ambushes. If a segment can't help someone watching at home take a better step tomorrow, it doesn't belong in this hour. We built rituals, the check-in before the red light, the debrief after, a green room where dignity wasn't optional. The audience stopped being a crowd and became a class. Show up curious, leave with language for your life. Harpo, own the platform, steward the promise. Success is loud. Ownership is quiet paperwork that protects your purpose. We created Harpo Studios so the show's soul couldn't be repossessed by a bad decision in a room I didn't sit in. I learned budgets the way I learned interviews, by listening. We hired people who believed a lower third graphic should respect a guest's name like it was a prayer. Owning the building changed the air. We could take risks without asking permission from strangers. We could say yes to the authors who were changing kitchens and classrooms, turning the show into a distribution system for hope. The book club and the classroom hour. A book turns a living room into a seminar. When we held one up, people read together, families, coworkers, entire towns. It wasn't about selling pages. It was sharing frameworks for grief, growth, courage. The aha moment wasn't branding, it was the click when a truth meets a life at the right time. Fame, boundaries, and course corrections. Fame hands you a megaphone with no volume knob. We learn to set our own. Not every sensational headline deserves a couch. When we missed, I said so, on air. Accountability is an act of trust building. The audience will forgive mistakes you own. They won't forgive a heart that won't learn. Surprise, generosity, and responsibility. Yes, there were giveaways and confetti days. Joy has work to do too. But the best gift was clarity, a therapist explaining trauma in plain words, a guest modeling an apology, a teacher getting tools, and thousands of parents seeing what real support looks like. Entertainment is dessert. Service is the meal. What I learned in the chair. Ask one more question, the real one. Silence can be medicine. Don't rush it. Tears are information. Respect them. Don't exploit them. A platform is a promise. Keep it with intention. Chicago gave me proof that television could be a tool for transformation, 1 hour at a time. Next came scaling the promise, a studio that made films and specials, a network built on values, and a life that put philanthropy where the logo used to sit. I'm Oprah. The work is bigger than ratings. The work is raising the room. A book is a hand you can hold in the dark. The book club, reading as public service. When we lifted a novel on air, grocery lines turned into seminars. Mothers and sons argued kindly over chapters. Offices formed circles. Whole towns met in libraries that hadn't been full in years. We weren't selling paper. We were circulating courage. Stories gave people language for grief, addiction, forgiveness, starting over. The alchemy was simple. One reader discovers herself. 10 more realize they're not alone. Angel Network. Hope with a ledger. I believe generosity should work. We built the Angel Network to organize what people were already feeling, to turn someone should into we did. Scholarships, homes, relief when storms took names. Every gift had a destination and a receipt. I wanted viewers to see that compassion scales when you treat it like infrastructure. Cinema, not celebrity. Acting wasn't an escape. It was service by another instrument. The color purple asked me to enter a history that still lives in the body and tell the truth without vanity. Later roles reinforced the lesson. If a character helps someone watching breathe easier or braver, say yes. If not, wish it well. The aha moment, naming the click. People think the aha is magic. It's mechanics, attention plus honesty plus timing. You hear a sentence you are almost ready for, and it clicks a lock you've been rattling for years. I learned to wait for it on air. Don't trample the silence. Don't decorate the truth. Let the click arrive, then hold the door while someone walks through. Hard conversations, soft hands. We went into rooms most shows avoided. Abuse, betrayal, illness, debt, prejudice. The rule was non-negotiable. Dignity first. If a story endangered someone, we changed names. If a guest needed help more than airtime, we closed the segment and opened a resource list. Ratings follow respect. They flee exploitation. Global rooms. The studio walls kept expanding. South Africa, schools filled with little girls who would become doctors, lawyers, poets. Book fairs that felt like festivals. Leadership meetings where we taught the same thing I learned at that wobbly desk. Intention drives outcomes. I kept asking the question that steers my life. What is the highest, truest use of this moment? Accountability in public. We made mistakes. I apologized on camera when we did, because the audience isn't a market, it's a relationship. Accountability doesn't shrink trust, it fertilizes it. What the work taught me. Ownership is stewardship. Protect the platform for the people it serves. Boundaries are kindness with a schedule. Gratitude is armor that doesn't chafe. Service is the only sustainable fuel for success. The chair became a classroom. The classroom wanted a campus. The next chapter is a network built on values, a school built on promise, and a legacy measured not in episodes, but in lives lifted. I'm Oprah. I am still listening. A platform is a house. If you're blessed to build one, leave the light on for other people. OWN, a network with a North Star. When OWN launched, we didn't promise perfection, we promised values. We learned in public. We iterated shows until they aligned with our intention: growth, healing, purpose. Ratings follow when the compass is true. I said yes to conversations that made families talk after the credits, to series that treated transformation like a craft, not a trick. Harpo expanded, films and specials. From primetime events to Sunday soul hours, we produce work that asks better questions. Who are you without your applause? What does forgiveness sound like? How do you tell the truth without burning down the room? Television can be fast food. We aimed for food. Schools and scholarships. Love operationalized. I believe in structure for compassion. Schools, scholarships, teacher training, libraries, hope with spreadsheets. In South Africa and beyond, we invested in girls who would become women who multiply opportunity. Philanthropy is not charity, it's strategy with a deadline. The chair becomes a circle. Presidents, prisoners, prophets, pop stars, same rule. Presence. I listen to grief without hurrying it. I listen to joy without trivializing it. I ask for accountability without humiliation. The circle works when everyone can see and be seen. Boundaries and gratitude. Fame is noisy. Boundaries make it sing on key. I learned to say no to what dazzles but doesn't deepen. I wrote gratitude like a prescription, daily, specific, humbling. Gratitude doesn't erase pain, it right-sizes it. What I know for sure. Intention is the steering wheel, attention is the gas. Your story becomes medicine when you tell it with meaning. Ownership is stewardship. Protect the platform for the people it serves. Success that isn't shared is just accumulation. Share it. The most radical sentence is still, I see you. If you remember me, don't start with the cars and cameras. Start with a porch in Mississippi, a wobbly disc in Nashville, a morning show that became a room where millions learned to breathe deeper. I'm Oprah. I am still listening, and I left the light on.